November 22nd, 1963, a date etched into the collective memory of a nation. But what if history's most shocking moment never happened? Archival footage of JFK waving from a convertible, intercut with images of the moon and American flag. Or did it? John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. JFK's presidency was marked by high-stakes showdowns with the Soviet Union, most notably during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He stared down the barrel of potential nuclear war and emerged victorious. Cementing his reputation as a cool-headed leader in times of crisis, shots rang out. In our timeline, those bullets found their mark, forever altering the course of history. But what if they hadn't? A man who embodied the hopes and dreams of a generation. With renewed political capital, he pushes for an even stronger Civil Rights Act. In our timeline, JFK's successor, Lyndon B. Johnson, escalated American involvement in the conflict. But Kennedy had expressed doubts about deeper engagement in Southeast Asia. In this alternate world, does he heed the advice of his Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, and begin a gradual drawdown of American forces? The butterfly effect of this decision could be staggering, potentially sparing a generation of young Americans from the horrors of war and avoiding the social upheaval that tore the country apart in the late 1960s. The legislation passes earlier and with broader support, potentially accelerating the pace of social change in America. His presidency was a whirlwind of Cold War tensions, civil rights struggles. While initially cautious, he eventually threw his support behind the cause. We're left with profound questions about the nature of leadership and the forces that shape our world. Great leaders can inspire nations and move mountains, but they're also products of their time, shaped by forces beyond their control. Did the system shape the man, molding JFK into the leader we remember? Or did the man shape history, bending the arc of progress through sheer force of will and charisma, setting the stage for landmark legislation that would reshape American society? JFK's famous promise to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade galvanized the nation, with him at the helm for a full 8 years. But by exploring these what-ifs, we gain a deeper appreciation for the pivotal moments that have shaped our world, and the countless alternate futures that might have been. Does Robert Kennedy still throw his hat into the ring, now running as the heir apparent to his brother's legacy, rather than as a tribute to his memory? Or does JFK himself consider an unprecedented third term? Make sure to subscribe for more explorations of history rewritten. Because sometimes, the most illuminating way to understand our past is to imagine how it could have been different. Would America be more unified, having avoided the national trauma of his assassination? Or would different divisions emerge, shaped by the longer arc of his policies and leadership? Testing the limits of the 22nd Amendment and his own popularity? Might we have seen an even more ambitious push into the final frontier? Perhaps Neil Armstrong's giant leap for mankind comes even sooner? Or maybe the focus shifts to more audacious goals. A permanent lunar base. Or even the first steps towards a manned mission to Mars, and the ever-present specter of nuclear annihilation. But on that fateful day in Dallas, everything changed. Vintage footage of Dealey Plaza, newspaper headlines spinning into view. Let's rewind the clock and examine the pivotal moments that led to this crossroads in history. On the home front, Kennedy grappled with the growing civil rights movement. Pop art-style graphics depicting key moments of JFK's presidency. But on November 22, 1963, as the presidential motorcade wound its way through the streets of Dallas, a glowing timeline appears, splitting in two with 1963 as the pivot point. Imagine, for a moment, that Lee Harvey Oswald's aim was off. The bullets missed their target, and JFK emerges from Dealey Plaza, shaken but unharmed. The nation breathes a collective sigh of relief, unaware of the alternate future they've just avoided. So what happens next in this alternate timeline? Montage of speculative scenes, blending historical footage with artistic recreations, JFK finishes out his second term, riding a wave of public sympathy following the failed assassination attempt. But what about Vietnam? Footage of the Apollo missions, intercut with speculative scenes of an even more ambitious space program. And what of the space race? Split screen showing historical footage of RFK's 1968 campaign alongside speculative scenes of JFK's continued political influence. As the 1968 election approaches, New questions arise. It's a montage of scenes depicting a changed America, more unified in some ways, but grappling with new challenges. But let's zoom out and consider the broader implications of a world where JFK survives. A reflective montage of key moments from JFK's presidency, both real and imagined, as we ponder this alternate history. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. Final montage of iconic JFK moments, both real and speculative, fading to black in the end. We can never truly know how history might have unfolded if JFK had survived that day in Dallas. Fade to black, with JFK's voice echoing, "Ask not what your country can do for you." ... If you're fascinated by these historical sliding doors moments, end card with channel logo and subscribe button.